You're not alone. If you need someone to talk to today, please contact Crisis Services Canada by either calling them at 1-833-456-4566 all hours of the day, or you can text them at 45645 at 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Time. Remember, you're not alone, and Crisis Services Canada is here to help. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba on ASTV Productions. I'm your host, Graeme Forsyth. This edition of Manitoba Show, Rise and Shine, is brought to you by AETI and Evolve Green. As you guys might notice, I did follow up on what I said I was going to do last Wednesday and shave off all the facial hair. The beard and mustache are gone now, clean shaven. So yeah, it's a bit of a new look here. Hope you guys recognize me at least. I didn't recognize myself, to be honest, the first time I shaved, because it's been so long. I've had the facial hair since about March. I grew that thing out since about last March, so it's been a while for sure. But yeah, we got a great lineup for you guys today in terms of the guests who will be joining the show. Joining me first on today's edition of the show is none other than Harry Siemens on the Farm Report to talk about some of the biggest things that are happening in agriculture right now. So we're going to run the intro here on Manitoba Show, and once the intro runs, you know what that means, Manitoba. It's time to rise and shine here on Rise and Shine Manitoba, Manitoba Show on ASTV Productions. Also forgot to mention in the intro that I'm using a green screen today. Going to be using this green screen from here on out on every edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba, and with the first guest being a guy that knows a lot about agriculture, very well knowledge in that field. Thought I'd go with a farm field covered in snow since it is the wintertime. Thought it was only fitting. I know this first guest loves it. I was talking to him before the show about it, and it's Harry Siemens, the guest here on the Farm Report, as always, joining the show on these Wednesday morning editions of Rise and Shine Manitoba. Harry, great to have you on the show this morning. How are you doing on this Wednesday morning, man?
As I told another person just about an hour ago, if I was any better, I couldn't stand it. So, so I'm doing good. You know what? Right off the bat, I just want to. It's a positive as far as Vancouver shipping is concerned. On Facebook, just about a half hour ago, I was texting with a trucker, Victor Sawatsky, and he was on his way to Vancouver. And I says, "Hey, how do you get to Vancouver by a truck?" And he gave me the route. And he was up to Kamloops and number 5, and then number this and number that, and then number 1 was open again, so he was going to go to Delta and then come right back to Manitoba. You know what? That's good news story. You know, it's a start. We've been trying to figure out what exactly is happening as far as the railroads are concerned, but I understand there's some traffic as far as grain movement to the coast as well through railroads. But that's really, really slow at this point, and so is the truck. I mean, that's a long, he had to make quite a long turn or distance route rerouting that got him to Delta. But at the same time, he was happy. he's on his way. And then when you let me know how things are going once he gets there.
Yeah, and that's great that he gave you the route there, Harry, of how to get from Winnipeg to or Manitoba to Vancouver to that area. But talking about the update in British Columbia on the just the gruesome stories we were talking about last week about the animals drowning in the water. Have you heard anything more on that front about what's been happening after the fallout of that situation?
You know what? Not a lot. I mean, they had some additional rain, which is shut down the railways for the time being. It was just too dangerous. But talking to Vic, he drove up to Merritt, BC, or he's going to. So Merritt was one of those towns that was really underwater. And I've been through Merritt many, many times. So at this point, the big cleanup, that's all I can really say, is that they're cleaning up, they're pumping water out of that lake that used to be a lake, which was drained in order to put Abbotsford and some of those places in there. And so, you know what? It's going to be a real challenge to get everything cleaned up back to some kind of a working order. But at least I understand they're on their way to doing that.
Talk about the update on Manitoba pork and how the PED virus is affecting Manitoba pork at this point. I know that's something you really want to hit on today on the show.
PED virus, it's a devastating virus for those pig barns that get it. And as I've talked before, Manitoba Pork had an update this week. It was kind of a town hall meeting, about an hour long, and we saw some really good information. The key part I want to update on is that right now there are 21 facilities that have broken out in PED virus. That's well on the way. Like the last couple of years, we were fortunate, 20, at least last year. But we've been as high in 2019, I believe we were up to 88 facilities. And it takes its toll, number one, on the owner of that pig barn. I mean, he loses income at least 6 months, maybe up to a year. In order to clean out that place, they have to euthanize the pigs, get everything out of there, clean it, wash it down, disinfect it to the point where it has to be clean. And so that's number one. But you know what? The toll that it's taking on hog workers, the people that work in those hog barns, it's not always the owner that works in the hog barn. They hire workers, and we have workers from, the Philippines. We have workers from Mexico. We have workers from different parts of the world, actually. And so just imagine you walk into a pig barn and you see some sniffles of weanlings, the little baby pigs. And that within 18 hours, either you will have euthanized them or they will have died vomiting and diarrhea.
Yeah.
And it's a horrible death. So there's the owner, there's the pig, and there's the person that works in the pig barn. And so my heart goes out to, I've sat across from a pig in the last go around 2019 with a pig producer, Bob Kleinzoster, with the Springcrest Hutterite colony near Steinbach. I mean, they had an outbreak, and he just literally tears when he talks about it. And so it's a real struggle, and the financial hardship for those individuals is really tough. So update, we've got 21, and the other big message, Dr. Tony Nickel with the Progressive Hog Group, he did about a 30 to 35 minute presentation. I know Tony well. He's a veterinarian, and he gave a presentation as to how they handle it in their particular hog group. And it's very detailed. You get almost to the point where you get frustrated with all the things that you have to do, because the virus travels in dust, the virus travels everywhere. Air when the fans go, and if it's in the air, it comes in. And so it's a really challenging one. So hats off to the Manitoba Pork Council and the hog industry. I'm sure they'll get control of it, but in the meantime, we're going to see some losses.
Yeah, just such an unfortunate situation, a sad situation as well, to see these animals dying from this disease, and just crazy how much detail goes into, preventing a virus like this to, not outbreak as much, as you said, the Manitoba Port Council talked about. But, talking about something else, Harry, the farm machinery prices, what are the prices looking like in terms of farm machinery at this point?
I'll touch on that right after that. I forgot one point. One of the other issues in the hog industry, and not only the hog industry, in the agricultural industry, is that according to the federal government, a council, the ag industry was across the board 40% short on laborers. There were 40% of the jobs went begging because there were not enough people to fill it. In the hog industry, that's 50%. Cam Dahl is the general manager of the Manitoba Pork Council, and he put out a news release on behalf of the industry saying we're begging for 50% of the jobs that are available, and the hog industry isn't, they pay pretty good, and so that's another real challenge that the agricultural industry has. Employees, they need workers. So I just wanted to add that is there. The farm machinery prices, I have a friend, his name is Greg Peterson, and everybody knows him as Machinery Pete. And he comes from Rochester, Minnesota. I had a chance to visit with Greg, and I'll call him Machinery Pete, back in 2012. We took a trip to Louisville, Kentucky. My wife and I were hosting a bus tour. He was a guest host. So we had a chance to spend about 4-5 days together on the bus and at the farm show where he was a speaker, and on the way back, of course. So I had a chance to visit with him. He looks at auctions. He looks at all kinds of things, has probably the best handle on what's happening in farm machinery. Right now, he says and that he's never seen it in about 20-25 years of covering the farm machinery auctions. Never seen prices the way they are right now. There's a shortage of equipment, and if a farmer sees a tractor on an auction bill beforehand, and he wants that tractor, tractors are going at some places 60, 70, 80, sometimes a double the price than what they would have paid for a new one, for that tractor new. But the new tractors today are so much more money that if they can find a good tractor that they figure will fit the bill, they'll pay extra money to get the used one instead of going far more higher priced for a new one. So I'll have more on that next week, but I just wanted to just highlight that right now the farm machinery prices are really strong. He said, the last thing he said to me, he says, Harry, if you want to leave a message with anybody, he says, if you have a piece of equipment that you want to get rid of, sell it, because it's really a seller's market.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a market that, sellers would want to, invest in selling machinery, farm machinery for sure. And I love that nickname, Harry, Machinery Pete. That's a great one. That's a classic for sure. A gem dropped by Harry Siemens on this week's edition of the Farm Report. But talk about seed trade and the issues with the fees right now. What's going on in that part of the industry?
Right now, we have the Canadian Seed Growers Association, which are the producers. They're the ones that produce the seed. My father was a seed grower. And what I mean by that, that's the seed that other farmers want to buy in order to get the best chance of getting a good crop. The days of taking your seed out of your bin and going and planting it are long gone. So now we have Seed Canada, which is an association of the researchers and so forth. And then you have the seed trade. All of a sudden, the fees went up for certain varieties. And so I talked this morning to Simon Ellis. He's Ellis Seed at Wawanesa, Manitoba, young farmer who took over from his father, not only the farm, but the seed business. And he basically tells me that, you know what, right now, because of what's going on in costs and all those things, there are certain varieties like soybeans and certain other varieties where the fees in order to get uh, those varieties to market, they're actually going up in some cases 50, 60%. And people are saying, how come? Well, it's just costing so much more in order to get some of those varieties. And not only that, the amount of seed that they're selling in some cases has halved, and yet those fees are still the same to get that particular crop to market. So that's an issue that I think will resolve itself, but at the same time, they're continuing to work. We have the Canadian Seed Growers Association, the producers, and then we have the seed trade, the people that develop the seed and bring it to market. And so that's the issue involved there.
Yeah, and definitely going to get some updates on the seed trade and the fees at some point in the upcoming episodes of Rise and Shine Manitoba for sure, Harry. But, one other thing, you talked about a cattle support group yesterday. That's something you wanted to talk about while we were texting, planning what we were going to talk about on today's show. You said you have an update on a cattle support group. What's the update
On the cow program?
Yeah.
It's a program by the government, provincial government, that put out some money up to $250 per cow. So if you're getting rid of a cow, you would, if you were eligible, you could get a payment of $250. I checked with Randy Kachuk, who's a cow calf producer up at Sundown, Manitoba, which is up in the southeast, and he told me about how that, and yeah, he says when he looked at the program, it was good, but he wasn't quite sure yet. There weren't as many details out there as he would like to know. But in his case, because of a management decision, not because he doesn't have the finances, but because he doesn't have the feed and he didn't want to go out and pay for the extra feed, he cut his cow herd by 46% going into next year. He wants the winter. He wants to be able to be comfortable in order to feed the cows that he has, and he didn't want to pay exorbitant prices for feed. So for some of those cows that he got rid of, he might be eligible for $250 a cow in order to compensate him for having to get rid of it because there's not enough feed.
Wow, that's crazy for sure. Not enough fee, got to compensate for it. Definitely an interesting update you gave us here on the show here today, giving me and all the viewers on the show here, Harry. But ending off with this, Siemens says the farming tip of the week from Harry Siemens on the Farm Report this week.
Today, I'm going with one that I use every day. 1986, I developed a motto: a positive mental attitude to encourage, to serve, and to inspire others will motivate me to do my best. And that's something we can get so hung up on the negative. And every morning we have a choice. Are we going to be positive or are we going to be negative? I choose every morning as best as I can. Even after I lost my spouse of 47 years, 3 years ago, I still worked at being a positive person to those people that I met. Why? Because it makes me positive and it helps me to do my best wherever I go.
Yeah, for sure. With everything that's going wrong right now in terms of just the floods in BC, the PED virus update you gave us on Manitoba pork here in Manitoba, and many other things that just seem kind of negative right now. You're always a positive person on the show every single week, Harry, and it's always awesome to have you. Harry Siemens, farming tip of the week for farmers on Siemens Says. Harry Siemens joining this week's edition of the Farm Report on Rise and Shine Manitoba. Harry, until next Wednesday, man, we'll talk again soon.
Good morning.
And that was Harry Siemens, the man on the Farm Report, always with some great knowledge, some great wisdom in terms of talking about what's going on in agriculture, not only in Manitoba, not only in Canada, but in North America and just the world in general. And just to give you guys an update, no, I am not outside. I am in my basement right now. I'm warm. This is my green screen. If you guys didn't know, testing it out this week for the first time consistently. This is the third day in a row that I've used it. So yeah, let me know if you guys enjoy the green screen that I'm using in today's episode, the backgrounds that I'm using in today's edition of Manitoba Show, Rise and Shine Manitoba. And speaking of this next guest, what my background will be looking like next, I'll look like I'm inside a basketball arena, inside a gym, because we're going to talk some basketball coming up here on Rise and Shine Manitoba. Coming up next, Adam Wedlake, Executive Director of Basketball Manitoba, will be joining the show to talk about some holiday camps coming up, the start of school basketball, the Peg City Showcase, and the junior NBA program run by Basketball Manitoba, where they're looking to expand into rural Manitoba. You're watching Manitoba Show, Rise and Shine Manitoba on ASTV Productions. Stick around for more after this commercial break.
Why go solar? Solar is better than ever. Our revolutionary design and inverter equipment with the latest in solar panel technology for the ultimate in-home and business security. That's right, I said security. Grid security and security of your home are linked. Fortify your future today with a battery backup system. No maintenance, quiet running. Did you know in Manitoba, grid-connected, off-grid, and battery backup systems are 100% right off in the year you purchase for any company or farm? Do you want to back up your internet, keep your tills running, and the lights on? We can install a system that is right for you with battery backup fully capable of taking on all those essential loads and keeping you running. When you call our experts at Evolve Green, ask about getting your free energy audit today. Call or email today to find out what system works best for you. 1-866-5EVOLVE or support@evolvegreen.ca. Also, be sure to check out our website at www.evolvegreen.ca.
And welcome back to Rise and Shine Manitoba, everybody. To start off Manitoba show today, I was joined by Harry Siemens on the Farm Report, giving you, the viewers, and myself some updates on some pretty big things happening right now in terms of what's going on in agriculture, in the industry. Just crazy, some of the things that's going on. Sad to see the PED virus and, affecting Manitoba pork. Tough to see, and crazy how, the prices are looking right now, and just the machinery prices as well. What you can sell machinery at in the farming industry. But I'm in a gym now. Not really in a gym. I'm still in my basement. This is my green screen, of course, as mentioned. Let me know in the comments, what you guys think of the green screen, what you guys would maybe want to see as a background for these segments that we do. And reason I'm using a basketball gym now is I'm going to be joined right now by Executive Director of Basketball Manitoba. It's been a while since I've talked to this fella. It's Blake. Adam, thanks for joining the show on this Wednesday morning. It seems like you always join the show every once in a while, once a month, and it's great to have you on. What's been the feeling, the situation around just basketball in Manitoba, how it's thriving right now?
Hey, good morning, Graeme. Nice to see you're in the gym, sitting there right now in our Sport Manitoba courts. There looks great.
Yeah.
No, things are going well. Glad to be part of your show again this morning. Yeah, it's been about a month or 6 weeks, I think, since we last chatted. So, yeah, things continue to get a little better and better. Again, I always equate to where we are right now to a year ago. And a year ago, we were basically at zero zero activity, zero sports anywhere indoors or even outdoors. So yeah, it's baby steps, but at least we're stepping forward and happy that we're seeing a little bit of basketball and other sports are continuing to carry on and yeah, we're better than we were a year ago. So the bar is low, but we're happy that we're active.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I'm just going to mute you every time I talk, Adam, because I am hearing some feedback right now. We'll get through it, though. But, just talking about it, yeah, great to know that there's basketball happening and it's in full force right now, full stride. And, an exciting time, of course, it is the holiday season, Christmas coming up very soon. And you were saying that there's some holiday camps coming up in our email exchange last week. So talk about those holiday camps that are going to be run by Basketball Manitoba this holiday season.
Yeah, it's again like last year at this time there was zero happening, so we're happy to see this option return for young players to get back in the court a little bit more and work with some of our great coaches. They're all being run by our member associations, so they're all part of Basketball Manitoba, but being run by different clubs and groups. There's 3 of them that right now that are being offered around the greater Winnipeg area, and there's another few that are in the works. Again, it's still a tumultuous time. Basically, the biggest challenge we're still facing these days is access to facilities. School gyms are basically are still off limits for the most part outside of for school activities. So there will be some more. And again, our website basketballmanitoba.ca is the best place that people can head and find out the details on those camps. There's a couple running just right after Christmas and that week between Christmas and New Year's, and then there's a few in the New Year just after the New Year's Day that are happening as well. So it's a good time of year to get back on the courts, stay active, and get off the couch and get away from the screens, which probably take over most of a young person's life, it seems, in these downtimes that we have coming up. So it's a good time to get out and definitely get active and enjoy the game, get a little better, and enjoy basketball a bit more.
Yeah, and always great to see the kids getting active, in holiday camps, that are run by Basketball Manitoba, of course. And yeah, another upside is going to be just having that opportunity to work off that holiday turkey after having that dinner or the ham, whatever dinner these families have this year. But it's great that holiday camps are back for sure. And like you said, you guys are in a place right now where you guys are actually seeing basketball again, like you guys weren't last season as opposed to last year. But talking about something that must be very exciting is the start of school basketball beginning once again. Talk about what's going to be going down with school basketball this year, this 2021-2022 season for Basketball Manitoba.
Sure. Well, it's starting. A volleyball season just wrapped up last week. And it's a quick transition for a lot of players, a lot of coaches, a lot of schools to move into the new basketball season, which starts as early as this week. In many cases, this coming weekend, there's already a 32-team tournament that's being hosted at Vincent Massey Collegiate, Fort Richmond Collegiate, and at the University of Manitoba called the Pembina Trails Bison Classic. It's a girls' tournament, and it's the first official real tournament back since the start of the pandemic. So it's hard to believe that school basketball has been in complete shutdown mode, even in these earlier times or these recent months where basketball has had a chance to come back. But school basketball is still runs really in the December through March window of time. So our sport was one of the unfortunate ones that took it on the chin back in the middle of March of 2020, which feels like a lifetime ago. When things actually came crashing down activity-wise. And so it's been a long haul. And for the most part, most schools are back. There's still a few that have some challenges in finding coaches, accessing space, and so on. Each school division operates a little bit differently from each other. But we're happy to see the sport come back in the school system as early as this week. And then there'll be a handful of other tournaments occurring around Manitoba in over the next couple of weeks, just before the Christmas break kicks in. And then really the school basketball season really kicks up, going full steam ahead through January and February, wrapping up in March. at all levels, and that's grades, I'd say grades 6 through 12 for boys and girls. So there's hundreds and hundreds of teams that are in the works right now, getting themselves ready for a triumphant return from a very long and long overdue return to activity. So we're very excited to see that and support it, and let's keep the doors open and keep the kids active.
Yeah, long overdue for sure, Adam. Like having no high school sports for as long as we had here in Manitoba was just crazy because high school sports, it's a lot of fun to play for your school, represent them in your respective sport, and especially for basketball, just returning from all the way from grade 6 to the senior level at grade 12 is going to be just awesome to see. That's fantastic. Talk about, are we going to see the same type of format with playoff city championships and provincials this year?
Well, if looking at the volleyball season, which just wrapped up, for the most part, it ran relatively unscathed, from what I understand. But there's still limitations on spectators. That for the most part, including their provincial championships, which just wrapped up last week, were played in gyms that were allowing players, coaches, and officials only, which is definitely a different environment, especially playing for a school at a high level. You want that crowd, you want that roar of the crowd to be supportive. But if that's the choice of either we play or we play with no spectators or we don't play at all, then we'll take the no spectators. People can watch it online, streaming, or alternative ways. So that's what we're anticipating. Again, our championships for our sport at the school level don't occur until March. So there's still 3+ months for that to come. A lot can happen, hopefully for the better, that we're in a better spot. But what we've learned as well in the last year and a half or almost 2 years now is to expect the unexpected and be ready for potential change. And again, the goal is to keep the kids active on the court and in a safe environment. The other thing that kicked in this last Monday, health orders wise, is the requirement that every player, and this is not just basketball, every sport, indoor sport in Manitoba, whose age is 12 to 17 now must be able to provide their vaccination status to enter into a facility. And so that kicked in this province-wide this last Monday, just a few days ago. It's new and is different, and there's still going to bring its level of challenges. There's a couple of caveats in that, which still allow a young person to show a single dose shot, which will still be permitted, and or a negative test, which that's another layer of interesting of how that's all being managed. Really no different than you hear the stories, some good, some not so good at the borders, or others that are dealing with the testing component. So those details were announced a few weeks ago, but they did kick in this last Monday. So that's affecting the school level of basketball, club level of basketball. So really any indoor facility that you're stepping foot into, if your age is 12 and up, including adult ages 18 and up as well, which has been in effect for a few months now, have that requirement. So we're not through this totally yet, but again, we're happy to take that as an alternative to nothing. That's what we always got to put in the back of our mind, is we could be doing zero like we were a year ago at this time, or we're in this spot here. We'll take this spot any day over nothing.
Yeah, for sure. Like the old saying says, got to take the good with the bad, right? And the bad with the good. And, hopefully, that doesn't cause too many problems. Just that new vaccination rule that's been put in for those age groups. But yeah, for sure. Once we have you on now, once again, another time, we'll talk about the school season some more and how it's going for basketball in Manitoba. But talking about the Pig City Showcase club basketball. Last time we talked, you said we were exchanging emails last week, and you said it was happening this weekend in those emails. So I'm assuming that the showcase ran last weekend, and if it did, just talk about how that went.
It's actually coming up this weekend, so we're still on the timeline of wrapping mainly the fall club season up. There's about 75 teams that have been actively playing at that level. Club basketball for basketball is roughly ages 12 to 17, and actually the very gym that you're sitting in right now with the Sport Manitoba is where the games will be taking place this coming weekend. Also at the Dakota Fieldhouse which is in the south end of Winnipeg. So they'll be going full bore on this coming weekend, Friday, Saturday, with a culmination of 4 sort of showcase weekend tournaments that this level of player has been playing at. So that's probably involves about 750 athletes have been playing at this level since early September. So that's something that was really the first real return to basketball for us back 2 months ago, and it's sort of just coming to a head this coming weekend. And so it's exciting to see that everything got through and with no real interruption. Again, 2 months ago when we started out, we had ambitions that things would run as we expected, but again, we planned for the worst, hope for the best.
Yeah.
And so the best we got was really no issues and a lot of young players enjoying basketball. Again, who have been mainly sidelined for at least a year and a half. And for some kids, this is their first real experience playing at this level of basketball. When I say a 12 or 13-year-old playing at this level, when the pandemic kicked in, there were only, 10 or 11 at the time. So this is, for a lot of kids, was their first real go at a higher level basketball in Manitoba here. So yeah, it's exciting, and we're looking forward to a nice culmination weekend to wrap things up, and then it transitions right into the school season. So there's really no real pause between the 2 seasons, club or school, and things carry on into the new year.
Yeah, and that's awesome. Just the number of athletes that have been competing in club basketball this season, and awesome to know that they'll be right back at it going into the school basketball season. And folks, come down to Graeme Forsyth's house, my house, to watch some basketball, as I am in the gym right now, where some of the showcase will be played. Talking about one last thing here, Adam. The junior NBA program expanding into rural Manitoba. Talk about the junior NBA program first off, and then we'll get into how huge that is for to expand into rural Manitoba.
Yeah, it's a program we've been active with for it's had some different names and different reiterations over the years, from what was called small ball to then Steve Nash youth basketball. Now it's under the brand of junior NBA. It has been for a few years now. This is even pre-pandemic kick-in. So, but it's been paused like many other programs, and we're excited to get it back. It targets very young players, roughly 5, 6, 7, and 8-year-olds. It's, again, relatively flexible. You can go a little bit younger, you can go a little bit older in that range, but that's what it's mainly targeted for. So for the most part, it's an entry-level introduction to the sport of basketball. It's like we like to call it a program in a box, where somebody really that's keen, that wants to host something in their own community, can approach us or ask. We can get involved with the program with relative ease. All the curriculum is provided, exactly what you're going to be doing with the athletes, young players on the court. It's very games oriented, so it's designed for that level of basketball player. So it's a lot of fun games, but with a basketball spin to it. There's the equipment piece that's provided, which provides clothing for the athlete, a jersey and a ball and a bag, and other supports that are there for the coaches and the administrators. So the incentive that we're putting out right now is we've got $5,000 in funding that we're putting out to 10 different programs, startup programs, with the focus on rural Manitoba. So if anybody is listening or tuning into the call, and they've got, say, a young person in their household that is keen on basketball, or maybe you played yourself 15, 20 years ago as a younger person, and are looking to get something going in your community. Again, we probably look at 10 players to start, so it's relatively small, and we can modify the game as best we can. So even facilities are very flexible. We've done them sometimes in church basements or on a carpeted multi-purpose room floor, where we can bring in small portable hoops and so on. So it's very flexible and very affordable, and that's even without the extra funding that we're putting in to help incentivize to get a few more areas of Manitoba that have maybe yet to be tapped, or have had some struggles even just coming back. This program was decently spread out throughout Manitoba prior to the pandemic, but just like everything, there's challenges to get it back with respect to people, spaces, time and energy, and money. So this hopefully addresses a lot of that and gets that young people in the community active which is really what's important right now, especially after this slowdown that we've all coming out of here.
Yeah, and always looking to grow the game. It's awesome you guys are expanding this. Just how huge is that going to be to grow the game into other places across Manitoba?
Well, it's an investment to our sport because it's the future. And a kid who's starting right now at age 5, well, in 10 years they're going to be reaching the pinnacle of say a school career, or maybe representing Manitoba at a provincial or national level, or even international level with Team Canada. So it all starts somewhere. And the fact we can partner and connect with the NBA brand with this, which is a globally recognized brand of our sport, adds to the allure, to the attraction of this. A lot of young people are still involved with basketball, maybe just as a spectator, as a fan of the NBA, maybe a fan of an NBA themed video game that they may play, but here's a chance to get out and enjoy it for real, not behind a screen. So it's exciting to see that next wave of kid. It's also great to as a support to an existing recreation center or community center in a small community, anywhere, any size community really, to be able to provide this early opportunity to get involved with the sport, where maybe a rec center or whatnot may not right now offer basketball. Maybe it's a curling rink, but they've got space. They've got some people that are with some energy that want to do something different for the younger kids. This is that program. It's already been designed for you. Just connect with us, and we'll get you going right away.
Yeah, great to hear that you guys are doing this, making that investment, and using that NBA brand to connect to kids, and just it's I think that's such a great way of looking at it, because it's going to bring in a lot more eyes to this program. If I'm a kid and I see the NBA name in this program, I'm going to be wanting to, say, sign me up, Mom and Dad. I want to play for that. Adam Wedlake on this edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba joining the show. Adam, I'm sure we'll talk in the new year very soon, like we do here on the show every so once in a while, once a month. But until the new year, man, have a wonderful rest of your 2021. Happy holidays and an early Merry Christmas as well to you, Adam.
Great. Thanks, Graeme. You as well. We'll talk to you in the new year. Thanks for having me on.
And Adam Wedlake, Executive Director of Basketball in Manitoba, joining the show here on this Wednesday morning. Coming up after this next commercial break, I'm going to be joined by goalie coach of Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy and marketing director as well, Gordie Tumilson, to talk about the past weekend of games for two of the teams in Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy, in the U17 male prep Buffaloes and the U18 female prep Buffaloes. We're also going to be talking about the week of practice for the Buffaloes, all three programs, the U15s, the U17s, and U18s. He touches a bit on what the goalies are going to be working on as well. An update on the marketing situation with Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy as well. And then me and Gordie are also going to be diving into he's going to be talking about the upcoming weekend of games for all three teams in the academy coming up this weekend. You're watching Rise and Shine Manitoba here on ASTV Productions, Manitoba's show. Stick with me after the break, as I'll be joined by Gordie Tumilson coming up next.
Hello, my name is Loretta Mitchell, owner of Evolve Green, and here at Evolve Green we take the environment very seriously. We have a 10 kilowatt solar system that offsets our main facility by 75%, as well as maintaining natural prairie on our grounds. Our mission, creating renewables that work for you. I started Evolve Green in 2008 with a passion for the environment and wanting to change my corner of the world. And that remains the same today. Through design, consult, and installation, we provide renewable energy systems and storage integration. Here at Evolve Green, we help Canadians rethink power and storage to help fortify our children's future. To learn more, visit evolvegreen.ca.
And it's Gordie Tumilson, goalie coach and marketing director of Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy, joining the show here on this week's edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba. Gordie, great to have you on the show, as always. There was 2 games that we covered on ASTV. Couldn't get to the third one due to the snowstorm and just the blizzard and how bad the roads were. But, great to, have you on the show here once again for this week of Rise and Shine Manitoba. How you doing, Gordie?
I'm doing just fine. You've got to get Glenn to get that the company helicopter going again so that you guys can swoop in from the top instead of having to get on the roads. But in the meantime, everything's great, Graeme. Thank you.
Yeah, great for sure. That's a good idea, Gordie. Maybe maybe Santa might be nice for Christmas and lend ASTV a helicopter. That would be nice if Santa's watching. So
there you go.
But yeah, let's get into it right away here, Gordie. Just the past weekend of games for the U17 male prep program, got better as the weekend went along. First 2 games got blown out, 8-1 on Friday, 7-1 on Saturday. Lost 5-4 on Sunday, the game that we didn't see here on the network. But just talking about their weekend overall, the U17s.
Well, we learn. I think that's the good part about the team. As we go along, we seem to feel our way through some games and some things. We didn't play very well on Friday. The guys were a bit they just weren't there. We don't know why. I had a great week of practice, according to Coach Rick McConnell. And then the game, they came out and they really didn't play very well. The Saturday played better. And, we didn't have get a break or two on that one. And things didn't go our way again, but it was a better game, so we felt better about that. And then on Sunday, maybe it's because it's early in the morning. Our guys maybe are better in first thing in the morning than other teams are, but we seem to play pretty good in the morning. So we'll be going for the championship at 7 or 8 in the morning, so a chance to win the thing. But yeah, we just get better. Seems like this weekend goes long, and we had some injuries. And the kids keep battling back, for that. So, yeah, we've had 3 good games, and we're learning. So that's all we can expect from these kids. That's what they're here for, development, and they are developing.
Yeah, and they went up against a top team in the CSSHL U17 prep division in Notre Dame. Didn't make it easier with the number of injuries that they had. Of course, Jordan Kusterman's going down with a scary one in that second game of the weekend. In that first game of the weekend, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
the first game of the weekend. Yeah, looking back at it. But Pollen, adding to the list of injured players you guys already have, just how much harder that made things for the U17s this weekend.
Well, Kusterman has got a lot of speed, and he's a second-year guy, and he's really improved an awful lot. In fact, I had the pleasure, or whatever you call it, to take him to the hospital the next morning after things had settled down a little bit, just for some X-rays, see the doctor, and a nice chat with him. Of course, he's from Belgium, Brussels, Belgium, and got to talk about his family and his parents and all those kind of good things. So the marketing guy came away with a bunch of marketing information. In the meantime, but yeah, you can't keep losing guys. Fortunately, most of the injuries are 1 to 2 weeks, and so they're not out for long periods of time. But certainly it's hard on the other players. It's hard on the coaching staff, mix and match the lines, trying to get guys out there who aren't necessarily familiar with the roles they're playing. So it makes it a bit tougher for everybody. But that's what you do. You get out there and you man up and you do your best you can.
Yeah, and definitely didn't help, like I mentioned, against a top team like Notre Dame, who has so much speed. And was that one of the things the team was struggling with? Just the attack from Notre Dame, just the amount of shots that they had on net: 52 on Friday, 49 on Saturday, 46 on Sunday. Just, Notre Dame, how they were able to, get so many shots as they did.
Well, that's their style of play. They're known for that style. They've been that way for a long time. And when they get the right players and the right mix of guys, which they do pretty much all the time, that's just the kind of sort of fire wagon hockey that they play. And you can't do much else about it unless you've got people that are equally as good at at playing the game, as skating and all that kind of good stuff. We know we don't have the strongest defense necessary in the league, and then our defensive game takes sort of a second look at that, and so we do struggle, and that's all there is to it. We're just not as talented, and when you're not as talented, you're going to give up shots. It's kind of like trying to keep the puck out of the middle, sort of in the red zone. You just keep the puck away from the middle of the rink and get them to shoot from the outside, and try and keep some of those backdoor passes, block those, and they're a pretty creative team. It's hard to play against them. Our guys, they manned up. We've got 6 guys out there doing their best every shift. So that's what we hope for, and that's what we get for the most part. And again, we try and compete as best we can. We're a smaller team. We're a younger team, and the sort of the hitting kind of takes its toll. It's quite an experience for these young fellows who've come from all over North America to play for us.
Yeah, and the goaltenders, like, they saw a lot of shots. Miles Gordon playing Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday, Cameron Perrier getting the start in the net. But they didn't have much help in the defensive zone. A lot of times on Friday, it was something that obviously got a bit better in Saturday's game, but especially on Friday, leaving players in high-quality scoring areas, in the slot areas wide open. Was that one of the biggest struggles as well for the team? Not being defensively sound as they usually, have been most of the time as of late.
Yeah, our defensive. Well, again, it's hockey sense, I think, and trying to keep an eye on some of these guys on the other team. Again, they're they've been together for a long time, and they always seem to have a nice rotation of players in and out, graduating guys and guys staying for another 2 or 3 years. And so when you get people that have been together for a long time, unlike our team, this is almost all of our players are brand new. And so when we're chasing the other team, if one guy makes a mistake or gets out of position just a little bit, then everything else kind of changes. And our folks aren't capable of making the adjustments necessary. We don't have the best players in terms of hockey sense. So some of the struggle goes there. Some of the struggle goes on skill. And the goalies do take a beating. If you want to be seen on a hockey team as a player, and you want the scouts to notice you, be a goalie on Pilot-Mound. The puck is in our end, and there's a lot of shots coming your way. And our guys, to be quite honest with you, they're starting to get used to it. So 40 to 60 shots a game doesn't seem to be out of the question anymore, and they just handle it and do the best they can. Fortunately, there's too many goals. There's too many quality shots, and we just can't keep them all out. But in the meantime, our defensive woes are ours, and we're working on them.
Yeah, and we'll, step off of the U17s. We could talk on and on about their struggles, Gordie, but we're going to leave it at that. The U18s had, a better weekend, even though they started off the weekend by losing 12-1 by a very talented Balmoral Hall team. They beat 2 teams from the MFHL, one of the top teams in the MFHL, and the Yellowhead Chiefs 3-2 on Saturday, and then beating the Interlake Lightning 5-1 on Sunday. Talking about the U18s weekend, the feeling around the team after getting 2 wins to end off their weekend.
Well, I'll tell you what, a win can change everything for you. We Balmoral Hall, if they're not the best team in Western Canada, they're the second best. I don't know who the best team is. You just send one line after another, and there's just no stopping them. They just have the puck. They're skilled. They move fast. Their heads are up. They're talking to each other. They've got good plays. They're smart, an intelligent team. A little bit sneaky and a little bit dirty on a couple of plays that I didn't enjoy seeing them perform on us, picking on the goalkeeper a little bit to block some movement and whatnot. But in the meantime, they didn't need to do that to be to kick our butts a little bit. So, but anyway, Balmoral is really good and full value for their win. The other two games, we won the two games, and I'll go to the Sunday game first, where we're equal partners with Interlake in terms of skill and hockey sense and all that. And we took it to them, man. We took it to them 5-1, I think, the final score, and it was wonderful to watch our kids. And the neat part about that is, we got beat pretty bad on Friday. We got outplayed on Saturday and outshot 2-1 in that game, but nonetheless we won that game. But our kids keep coming back, playing and trying to play hard, and so when we get an opponent that's kind of equal in the skill side and whatnot, we're able to kind of just take over the game, and which we did. We had some fun out there finally, not chasing the puck. They were chasing us a little bit. We got a great goaltending performance on Saturday from River Johnston. She made 58 or 59 saves and 62 or 3 shots. She had 2 goals scored, and then the shootout, and then she blocked all 3 of the shootout shots, and we won that one. So, yeah, and Julie Ducharme played a really strong game, making around 30 saves on Sunday, and so we've had good goaltending, timely goaltending in those 2 games, coupled with some timely goals. Morgan Satie got a couple of goals finally again. She's been snake bit for a while, but she took care of things a little bit. And we had a couple of goals from people that don't normally score on for us in Ross and Osborne. And so, we were glad to see that happen. Hajnaki and Lacoste and those kind of people, and Devana Ditto really played super for us, and I can name the whole group, but they stood out in my mind. And so, yeah, we had a good Saturday, Sunday for the girls, and we're feeling pretty good about ourselves right now and that team.
Yeah, and Haley Honaki, that was a big matchup for her because she went up against her former team in the Yellowhead Chiefs. Got a goal in that game. Just, how nice it was for her to be able to get a goal in a big win against her former team, who she didn't play much with last year, but still must have felt nice for Haley.
Well, there's no question about that, and you can see, there's a little bit extra jump in her play. She was taking the puck, and I'm going to go with this puck, and I'm going to do something with it, and that's it, you guys. So here we go. So follow me. I've got you. Let's go. She got a great goal, a top shelf. What do they call it? Top cheddar, bar down, over the goalie's shoulder, and got 2 of those on that game. One by her, anyway, so she just played really a super game. She showed a little extra in that particular game, and it actually carried over into the next game. I think she found a new level of confidence and in her play and carrying the puck, etc. That helped her on Sunday as well. So it was a good weekend for her.
Yeah, and huge for her to get her goal scoring game going because her history has shown that she can put that puck in the net quite a bit of times. So great moment for Haley Honaki getting that goal against her former team, the Chiefs. But talking about it, these goaltenders coming up huge, like River Johnston in that game against Yellowhead, like you said, making 58 of 59 saves. Julie Ducharme having a huge performance over Interlake. Obviously, goaltending a huge part of any hockey game, but for this U18 team in particular, this goaltending must be the most valuable part of why this team is able to get success at the end of the day at this point.
Yeah, right now the other kids are developing in terms of their team skills and all that good stuff and whatnot. We're fortunate to have both Julie back for her second year. She's a battling kid. I mean, she's not the most skilled player, nor does she sort of come across as the average looking goalie, kind of the steady person in goal. But she really fights battles and just does not want to be scored on. And she has really come along in the I guess, the year and a half she's been at Pilot-Mound. She was a B goalie coming out of Alberta, and now she's worked herself into a double-A kind of a goalkeeper and working towards, sort of trying to scratch the triple-A sort of side of things. And so Julie's been a real pleasure to work with, and her game has improved. Rivers come from Toronto, and she, with a little bit of a confidence boost here and there, she's really sort of she's a tower of strength when she gets going. When she's got it on her game, I'm not sure that they're going to score many goals in that girl anywhere. And her skill level is pretty good. Her steady play and just her strength in goal and the look she has in goal is somewhat intimidating, no doubt. And she makes the game look pretty easy sometimes.
Yeah, no doubt about it. When the goalie's able to strike fear into the opponent with the look she's got out there, that's always a huge plus for any hockey team out there, especially these U18s. The week of practice coming up, Gordie. What is being worked on this week in the academy in Pilot-Mound?
Well, I know the girls had the day off today, and the boys as well, just to kind of rest up. A lot of games on the weekend, so they both teams would have had the day off. The U15s were on the ice this morning, first thing, as many as the kids that could get back. I think there was a bunch of kids that had gone off for the weekend. We had the weekend off, so they kids that were kind of close in Manitoba who could get away, got away, and then with the weather yesterday, it was a bit tough to some of them get back in time for the morning practice. So, but anyway, they I think more team play, lots of team play stuff, and continuing with the skill development. Our kids are coming along. Yeah, we can't have good team play if you don't have kids that have got skills to make the team play work. And so, it's kind of a combination of two things. We work a lot on the skill stuff, on the stick handling, passing, shooting, and that kind of thing. Getting kind of creating some hockey sense things. Digging down deep into that part of the game so that the kids know how to react under certain situations. Read and react's huge in any sport. That's all what it's about, really. And the quicker and the faster we can read and play and then react to it with a good set of skills, best chance we've got to do well. So that's happening for both our boys and girls teams. And again, with a lot of injuries on the boys team, I'm going out there tomorrow on Tuesday. So it'll be see who's able to skate. I've got 3 goalies on the slightly injured list, all 3 of my guys. So we'll see how they're doing. We'll put them through some paces and keep the reflexes up, keep all that going. That's really important right now, is getting the reflexes and keep them sharp so that they can make a bunch of saves when they need to.
Yeah, for sure. And with all the injuries going on, of course, you being the goalie coach, of course, there has to be 3 goalies banged up right now. But, talking about the marketing, Gordie, for the academy, of course, it's a new month. Last time you joined the show, of course, it was December 1st. This episode aired. Didn't have a chance to ask you about it last time, but made it my mission to ask you about it this time, what the marketing plans are here for this month of December. And starting off with that, the marketing plans.
Well, of course, working with ASTV on all of the stuff that we do with you guys, and it's 3 or 4 or 5 interviews a week and different people and players, and thanks for you guys doing that. We've got a special little treat for people on ASTV coming up. I know Theo's working with Billy Keane up at OCN on a series of interviews. We have 6 players up there from Pilot-Mound Academy playing up at OCN. So that's part of our task, is to kind of highlight that somewhere. So again, Theo's doing some things there, and we're going to use those to help promote our program. We're developing right now our recruitment plans for starting into the new year. That's kind of the key thing right now. We're certainly keeping everything else going, but our recruitment plans are huge right now. And we've got to get out on the streets and banging the drum and making sure that we've got the good quality players coming back and coming to us to replace the ones that we might lose at the end of the season.
Yeah, so huge. You want to keep those good players, right? Build a good foundation throughout these 3 programs, wherever those players are playing throughout the academy. And of course, trying to bring in, good ones to replace the ones that might be leaving or aging out. The final weekend of games for 2021 for all teams in the academy, they're all going to be in action. But after this weekend, it's say goodbye to 2021 for Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy. Yeah, talk about what's going to be in store, for these three teams this weekend coming up.
Well, I've all got games, and looking forward to that. The boys, the U17s, are in Calgary for a showcase, and that's always a lot of hockey. And hopefully we've got enough bodies to fill the bus and go and play some good games. The other two teams are playing. I would guess they would call them exhibition games, but against the AAA opponents, and so in Manitoba here. And those are great battles. I mean, the kids, from all over, sort of our kids from all over Canada and the U.S. and a few from foreign countries beyond our oceans against pretty much Manitoba kids. It's always a good matchups, and we can see who's doing what. And it's good for the kids on the Manitoba teams to place kids from other places, just to kind of get a sense for what the hockey might look like somewhere else. That's always good. So yeah, we're keeping the competitive level high. Always good games, and that of course showcases our players to the general public, to scouts, other coaches from other teams for kids to graduate, and of course we're always measuring our kids so that we look forward to having them back for next year. The ones that want to come back and that are able to come back.
Yeah, for sure. Going to be awesome for those U17s to finish off with the showcase, and for all the other programs, the U15s and U18s to be in action for one final time this season in 2021. Looking to end off 2021 with a bang, and use that confidence they use this weekend if they are able to have success heading into the year of 2022. Gordie Tumilson, marketing director and goalie coach of Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy, joining Rise and Shine this week. Gordie, you stay safe out there. Take care, and until next week on the show, I'll see you then, man. Take care.
Thanks, Graeme.
And Gordie Tumilson, of course, joining this week's edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba. And just got to clarify some stuff with you guys. This won't be the final time that all three programs are in action for the final time in 2021. I'll run you guys through the schedule right now for the academy. So looking at it here. So the U15s, they got a game, of course, coming up on Sunday against Central Plains, against the Capitals. This is going to be the second time these teams play this season. Central Plains took the first matchup of the year back in September on the 26th, I believe. Yep, on the 26th, 6-4. The Buffaloes looking to get a win over them for the U15s. And then they will actually be playing at least 4 more times this year. Next weekend coming up in Caronport, Saskatchewan, the Buffaloes will be playing 2 games on December 17th against the Calgary North Stars and the Canadiens Volvo team from Edmonton. And then on December 18th, the U15 Buffaloes will be playing against the Winnipeg Bruins Brown team. And then on December 19th, they're supposed to have a playoff game. It's still to be determined when the time of that game will be played, or when, who the team will be playing for the U15s. Of course, it all depends on how they do in the games before, of course. Looking at the U17 program for the Buffaloes. Just got to load their schedule up here. And yeah, for the Buffaloes, they'll be playing 4 times, as mentioned by Gordie in the interview, coming up starting on Friday against the International Hockey Academy on December 11th. So on Saturday, twice against the Edge School and the International Hockey Academy again, and then ending off their 2021 year with a game against the Edge. Those games against the Edge will be played at the Edge School, and then the games against International Hockey Academy for the U17 Buffaloes will be played at the Winsport Olympic Park Arena. And then just finishing off with the U18s here for the Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy Buffaloes. the U18s will be in action for one final time coming up this Saturday in the afternoon at 1 p.m. against the Yellowhead Chiefs at the Shoal Lake Multiplex in Shoal Lake, Manitoba. If you guys want to check out the results, the updates, the schedules for Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy, be sure to check them out on their website at pilotmoundhockeyacademy.com. Coming up after the commercial break, folks, after this next commercial break, we're going to be doing something different on Rise and Shine Manitoba today for Graeme's Opinion. Joining me is going to be my fellow colleague, Seth Rach. He's going to be joining the show to talk about the Winnipeg Jets' last 3 games with me. We're going to debate about it, talk about it. And we're also going to talk about some other stuff that's been happening in the NHL this year, some suspensions and surprise in the season, in our opinion, so far, out of either a team or a player that's having a fantastic season, or maybe a team that's struggling. And then after we talk about the NHL, me and Seth, he's going to be signing off, and I'm going to be giving you guys my CFL prediction for the CFL's 108th Grey Cup coming up this Sunday against for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And I'm also going to finish off Graeme's Opinion with a rant this week. So stick around. You're watching Rise and Shine Manitoba on ASTV Productions. More after this commercial break on Graeme's Opinion with Seth Rach and myself. And here he is, Seth Rach, on this week's edition of Graeme's Opinion. Seth, we were talking about it last night. I was thinking of course, having you on the segment next week, but I thought, why not, go a week early and start off by having you on the segment here on Rise and Shine for the first time ever to, talk about the Jets and some other stuff in the NHL. How you doing on this Wednesday, man?
Oh, not so bad. A little bit of an early morning. Got up and did a few things, but we're here now and we're about to talk some hockey.
Man, Seth, I love the background too, man. You got Thomas Chabot's jersey, the grade 8 Alex Ovechkin, and number 4 Bobby Orr in the background. Gotta love it. Are those maybe some of your favorite players of all time? I know you're a huge Ovi fan.
Yeah, I just for Bobby Orr, obviously never got to watch any of him because I'm quite young. I was born quite a bit after he was done playing, but no, it's just that's just a jersey my dad's had for years, and he just let me borrow it for this because it looks very nice up there, and who doesn't want a legend up on their walls? So
yeah, no doubt about it. And I'm in the same boat as you, Seth. I'm 1 year older than you. So, yeah, we were born a bit too late to watch one of the greatest players of all time, probably the greatest defenseman of all time, play the game of hockey. But, talking about this week, Seth, I'm just going to change my background here. Talking about this first team, their last 3 games, our favorite team, Seth, the Winnipeg Jets. Last 3 games has looked a lot better than the last 7 before that, winning against the New Jersey Devils 8-4, beating the Toronto Maple Leafs on Sunday 6-3. And then, not the greatest game from the team yesterday against the Carolina Hurricanes. But Seth, for me, I got to say, a huge thing for the Jets was just their big guns finally stepping up again. Scheifele finally having his breakout game of the year against the Devils with a hat trick and an assist. He's had points in all 3 of the last games. Ehlers with the goal in all 3 of his last games, 2 against the Devils. PLD, Pierre-Luc Dubois, in points in his last 3 games, a goal against Toronto and Carolina, 2 assists against New Jersey. Kyle Connor stepping up with a goal against Toronto Toronto, a goal and 2 assists in his last 3 games. And then Blake Wheeler with points in his last 3 assists versus New Jersey, 2 assists versus Toronto in his 1,000th NHL game, and 1 assist against Carolina. Just, I gotta say, the big guns finally stepping up has also allowed for the depth and scoring to come through as well. 5 different goal scorers against the Devils, 6 different goal scorers against the Leafs, and Ehlers and PLD scoring yesterday for the Kings.
Yeah, it's good to see that depth shine through. It's been a little bit tough lately, those 7 games before we started winning again. They're taught they weren't scoring many goals. I forget what the stats said on TSN, but they were talking about how much the Jets were just not scoring in general. So those past few games to see, 8-4, 6-3, it's good to see the guys start scoring again.
Yeah, and looking at it in those 2 games against New Jersey and Toronto, like 14 goals in those 2 games. The 7 games before that, they had 9 goals in 7 games, so definitely an improvement for sure, Seth. But looking at the Jets, I'm gonna bring up a shot graphic here. Finishing their chances as of late. Just let me bring this up here. One sec, gotta find it. Looking at that game against New Jersey, you look at it here, Seth, looking at the amount of shots the Jets are getting on the inside is great to see. Just, the Jets moving the puck well around the zone when they've been able to against these teams, really drawing teams in and being able to get it in those high quality scoring areas, which is nice to see that keeping up. You can look at the graphic here on this heat map, the number of chances that the team is getting. The darker the color is, the more chances they're getting. And that's been really great to see for the team. And then you look at just that game against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Looking at the shot chart once again here, for the Jets, getting a lot of area scoring chances in tight once again in the house and that slot area for the Jets, which is nice to see. Nothing really to the outside in that game. And then looking at the heat map here once again, man, looking at the darker color in tight, nice to see. And also, even though the power play has still been struggling, looking at it, the Jets getting a lot of chances in that, in that slot area and tight, and that's just moving the puck better in open space, supporting the puck carrier better, and getting more attempts inside the house, as mentioned.
Yeah, and I think it definitely helps because I was listening to the Jets media availability over the past few weeks, and Murray said he was looking to change up the power play in the game. He changed it up. They were able to get a few goals on it, so that's already good news. Just a little tweaking here and there for Paul Maurice on the power play, but just those danger zones to see them get more, actually convert on their opportunities now, being getting lucky. It's I think about it, and I think it's good. When the Jets weren't scoring, it had to have been puck luck. They just weren't able to get the lucky bounces that a lot of other teams were getting on us or on the Jets, and it was a little unfortunate, but now, hard work is starting to pay off for the Jets.
I think it's just also shooting with more of a purpose too. They were getting a lot of shots, but a lot of those shots weren't exactly in those places you want them, right? They're roofing a lot more shots now. You saw it in that game against Toronto on the power play for Kyle Connor going upstairs. Mark Scheifele, in his game, just the ability that he had to not only cut through the defense, but also, have a toe drag shot around a defenseman to go low side. Definitely looking great for the Jets in that area of the game. But, one thing that I said, and I thought Scheifele should have been moved down to that second line on my segment last week, not because, obviously him playing on the first line is where you want him to be, but PLD definitely, I felt deserved the spot up to that point. But there's no question now, Seth, that Scheifele is back to being that number one center you want up there to produce that offense, to drive that play.
Yeah, 100%. I was one of those people that was worrying a little bit about Scheifele, but there's not really much to worry about when you look at his game over the past few years. He's always been a consistent point per game player. He'll have those dry spells, but he's not one of those players that it's really hard for him to climb out. This is one of the first years I think we've seen where he's actually struggled over a consistent amount of games to put up points, but now he's starting to catch on fire, and he's really, like you said, yeah, he's definitely that number one center that we look to for him to be every year.
Diving into some cons now, because even though the team has been winning games, has been putting up a lot of offense, there's still, I feel like, a lot of number of chances that this team has given up. And I feel like this has been a trend throughout the past years for this team ever since 2018-19. A lot of in-house / red zone slot area in tight chances for teams, getting hemmed in the zone. And I feel like that just comes down to being a bit sloppy with the puck and turning over the puck as well. I think the Jets in that game against Carolina yesterday were looking to force the puck too much into spaces where, places where there wasn't really open guys, forcing passes, being a bit lax on, getting those passes to players quickly. And that just came down to support with the puck. And that's something that the Jets this season, when they've done very well, supporting the puck, on the forecheck, finding those open spaces to get to open space to receive those passes, they've looked very well. But just in that game against Carolina, especially when they upped the aggressiveness, playing against a more aggressive team in Carolina, Jets really seemed to struggle and seemed like there was a bit more panic with the puck and made the Jets make more poor decisions on where to move that puck and throwing it away.
Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree. And it's also like you said before, they're trying to force pucks up the middle and trying to force that pass. And against a team like Carolina with their fantastic defense, you can't do that. And come playoff time, you can't do that, or else you're going to get burnt. And we saw that when the Jets faced Montreal in the second round last year and got swept. They kept trying to force pucks through, and they kept trying to, play an unsafe style. And that when you play like that, you're going to give up a lot of high danger scoring opportunities for the other team. And it's just deadly. And against a team like Carolina with all that depth, you just can't do that. And that's why, they've been other teams have been finding a lot more success.
Yeah, and I think Nikolai Ehlers said it best after post-game. He was asked about the struggles in that game. He said, just need to play a more simple game, and that's exactly what I feel like the Jets need to do against these better teams like Carolina, not taking anything away from Toronto, because Toronto statistically has been a top 5 team in the league this season. But the troubles on the power play, I feel like, are still there, Seth. Even though the Jets are having more success, I feel like there's still not enough traffic in front. They were getting into the inside. I said last week that they were having a bit of trouble getting to the inside, but I want to rephrase that. I think that they were not getting many high danger to high quality chances inside, getting there, being able to get to those areas, but not getting much of that. And, looking at this, Seth, that game against the Carolina Hurricanes yesterday, like, you just look at it, it was just looking at the shot graphic here. You look at Carolina, the chances that they had in front of the net, just, missed assignments by the Jets, losing body positioning, turning that puck over, and Carolina really taking advantage. And you see the Jets in the offensive zone really not being able to get to the inside to those high quality chances, scoring areas. And then you look at it here, like, it was kind of spread around for the Jets. Not as much traffic in front of the net, not as much attempts from the slot compared to Carolina's. And that just went down to our poor D zone coverage, I feel like. And, looking at the power play here for the Jets, like, once again, very little traffic in front generated and very little shots in that area, like they were doing better against a team like Toronto, and most of the other shots were coming from the outside. And I feel like a big part of why a team like Carolina is so good is not only do they have good players, but their structure is far superior than a teams like a Jets at this point in the season.
Yeah, they got one of the better coaches in the league too, and Rob Brindamore. And he's the type of guy. He's the type of coach that, like, you got to play. He's kind of like a less intimidating John Tortorella. I find it sometimes. Like,
I don't know what happened here. We lost Seth. 1 second, folks. I'm just going to text Seth, and then we're going to continue talking here. Let's see. But yeah, hopefully you guys are enjoying this up until this point, this segment here that, Graeme's opinion that we're doing. Adding in something new with Seth Rach. His connection doesn't look like it is the greatest here today. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like Seth is moving a bit here. And Seth, good to have you back on the show, man. You're talking about John Tortorella when you cut out.
Yeah, I feel Rod Brindamore is sort of like Rod Brindamore is sort of like John Tortorella in a way. How he's a very strict kind of coach. I don't think he's as aggressive and as I guess you could say kind of mean-ish towards some of the players at times. But yeah, because you got to play his way, and Rob Brindamore has an excellent system there in Carolina. So it's with the Jets and Paul Maurice has been here for a while. So his system is starting to get kind of memorized. More teams are starting to catch on earlier because he's been coaching the Jets for so long. But only time will tell with this team.
Yeah, and people on this show know I'm not a big fan of Paul Maurice. I think respect to what he's done with this team. Getting us to the playoffs, but I also feel like he's had so much talent to be able to do that. But I think a big reason he's still here, Seth, is because he still has the respect of his guys in the room. So once he loses that, I feel like he could be on his way out. I think that's going to be the key difference there of if Maurice gets fired or not. But yeah, just so many times where the Jets get caught up in bunches in the defensive zone consistently, and there's so much open space. Like I was watching it yesterday, there was so much open space in front of Hellebuck, and you really got to help out your goaltender. I don't think any of the struggles this season can be put on Hellebuck, if anyone would make that argument. Yeah,
I actually that was my main complaint with the Jets too. It just seems like Hellebuck doesn't have the most help, and he's not getting the help he kind of needs in front of the net. There's guys, and we saw it with that goal that probably should have been disallowed yesterday, but was allowed anyway. There's no one's really trying to get the guy out in front of the net. Like they're just kind of letting him poke away at Hellebuck, and it's kind of frustrating to see players get in there and have like a big guy like Stanley just kind of standing there watching it happen. And I don't want to get too mad at ragging on the Jets defensive play because they have been getting better lately, but it's just one of those odd losses that you get. I think that's what happened this last game. We came off an emotional game against Toronto. A lot of controversy there, and probably kind of got away from the players in this game.
Yeah, and I'll say one more thing about the Jets game yesterday, and then we'll move on into talking about some suspensions that were given out by the league. But obviously, having Neal Pionk not in the lineup, one of your best puck-moving defensemen, and the guy that's been so good in every single zone is definitely tough. Definitely hurt the power play as well as he's the quarterback on that power play, but. This is one of the most talented decors the Jets have had in years, ever since 2017, 18, 18, 19. Even though that decor was bigger, this decor still has some big guys, like a guy like Brendan Dillon, who's a monster, a guy like Logan Stanley. I just don't get how these guys are getting dominated like they are in tight areas like they have been this season, not being able to clear away rebounds as well as they should be able to. But we'll leave it at that, Seth. We'll hop into opinions now on the suspensions of Neal Pionk and Jason Spezza. Neal Pionk getting 2 games for his knee on Rasmus Sandin, and Spezza getting 6 games for was it a knee on Pionk? I heard a lot of people talking about that. I swear he got him with the shoulder.
No, it was a knee to the head, or Spezza got a knee to the head on Pionk.
Right. Yeah, that was brutal. Brutal. What were your thoughts? You think these were the right amount of games that these players should have gotten?
Yeah. I'm a Jets fan, and if there's any Leafs fans watching this, they're probably not going to like my opinions on this, but that's okay. Pionk, I think, definitely deserved a suspension. Like, I think it was an unintentional play, and it was clearly unintentional from if you watch the replay. But, it's still a knee on knee, and his knee is still kind of leading on the play. So you kind of, I do respect 2 games. But so I think Pionk's suspension was perfectly fine. But I do think Spezza should have probably gotten quite a few more games for what he did.
Yeah, I usually don't agree with Craig Button. I'm not gonna lie. I think Craig Button sounds like an idiot most times, but he was bang on yesterday, and he had the same opinions that I have here. Like Pionk getting 2 games, I understand it because he did, get that knee out at the end of the play. But I also feel like Sandin put him into an awkward position. Just looking at it objectively, you saw it like Pionk definitely no intent to lead with the knee there, and he led with the shoulder, like he hit shoulder first. That's polar opposite to what Ian Cole did yesterday against Mark Scheifele, leading with the knee.
That was terrible. That was so bad.
It was awful, and
I'm surprised Scheifele didn't get injured on that play.
Yeah, it was just wow. But Ian Cole, I feel like that was also just one of those uncharacteristic situations. He's not really that dirty of a player. I don't think he is a dirty player. But Jason Spezza getting 6 games, there was intent there. Obviously, like he was mad at what happened at his teammate, and like obviously you want to defend your guy, but that's not the way to go about it when Pionk is clearly on the ice. You clearly see that. You have time to see that.
And you lead with the knee.
Lead with the knee right at the head. And you injure a defenseless player in Pionk who was in concussion protocol. Honestly, I feel like Spezza is lucky to get 6 games. I think it could have been about 8 or 10 games, to be honest. But,
yeah, same.
That's just an objective look at it. Like if it was Neal Pionk doing that to Spezza, I would say the exact same thing. Like,
oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. Knee to the head is terrible. And unlike obviously, last season with our last playoffs with Corey Perry doing it, that was like as unintentional as that can get right there. It's just the speed of the game. He was already skating for the puck, and Tavares fell, and he had no way to move his leg in time before he hit him in the head with his leg. So, but this one, like, you can tell he's going in with the knee. Like and I get it was probably, because it happened so fast. It was heat of the moment for Spezza, but still you can't do that. That's terrible. You could really he's lucky Pionk wasn't down on that play and Pionk got right back up, because that could have been a lot worse than what we saw.
Yeah, for sure. It was just like, I understand it. You're mad that, a player, did something like they thought was dirty to a player in Sandin, a younger guy in the lineup, and Spezza trying to be a veteran and take it into his own hands and get some revenge. But that's just not the way to go about it. Lay a huge hit. I couldn't care less. But to take that run at him, knee him in the head, I think it was just unacceptable. Talking about Ian Cole, though, Seth. How many games do you think? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say, I actually really like Ian Cole as a defenseman. I think he's a really good. And I honestly thought at free agency, I thought we should have went after a guy like Ian Cole because of how good he is in the defensive zone and how well he would be, an addition he would be on the power, on the penalty kill. But I think this could be upwards of maybe 15 games, because that was pretty bad. You can't. I don't know. I don't actually know what knees go for in the NHL. I didn't really know how long they tend to give knee on knee hit or collisions. So, but to me, because of how just awful kind of a hit it was, I think it should be upwards of 10 games.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, but I feel like because Scheifele got up and he was okay, I think that's a huge thing that plays in the part of these suspensions. I'm going to go with about 4 to 5 games. I think he gets a suspension. If Scheifele were to get injured, I could see it being upwards of 10 games. But I'm going to roll with 4 to 5 games for Ian Cole on that one. It was a brutal play, but I feel like they don't look at knees as bad as other plays in the NHL. I feel like, and I like if it was a knee to the head, that would be would be upwards of games right there. Like because like the way he went in, like he was going in faster than Spezza. I feel like
yeah,
Scheifele,
yeah, he was, yeah.
like
And I
Scheifele.
feel like he was like there was no like he was like obviously at the start he probably didn't want to knee him, but like he followed through and led with the knee after. So like I don't know, I can't remember if he was complaining or not on the play. I'm pretty sure Rob Brindamore is probably mad about it, but yeah, because he gets fired up lots, and it's actually fun to watch him get fired up. But yeah, it's hard to say really.
It was actually funny when Rod Brendamore was losing his marbles when one of their players I forget who it was against, but the guy clearly slashed the guy's stick because it broke, and he was just so mad at the referee. It was crazy. It was nuts. But we'll talk about one more play, and then we'll talk about our big surprises for the NHL season. Something that surprised us the most, but scary situation yesterday. I forget who it was exactly. I don't want to say his name wrong out of respect for him, but Jacob Trouba, putting a guy onto a stretcher. I honestly thought it was a clean hit, Seth. I just think it's a case of having your head down.
Yeah, exactly. It sucks. Yeah. Do you know the player who it was?
I'm gonna look it up.
I'm pretty sure it was Jujhar Khaira.
Yeah, that's who it was.
Yeah.
I'm pretty let's take a look here though. Yeah, but like it was just an unfortunate play. It was a head hit, obviously, but it's just it's that old story of just you got to keep your head up at all times because you never know what's going to happen. Like you never know what's going to happen out there. The game moves so fast, and there's always going to be someone looking to line you up, especially a defenseman like Jacob Trouba, who we know has been very physical throughout his whole career.
Yeah, and it's just it was really, really scary play. Like obviously there was no intent to injure on that play, and I thought too for the most part it was a clean hit. It's just the head's down. He's not expecting the hit in any way, and then Trouba comes in, and Trouba's a big guy, and he just steps into him, and it's a massive hit. And yeah, hopefully Jujhar Khaira is all right because that looked pretty scary the way he was stretchered off the ice.
Yeah, he didn't even bend his body at all. He just went like as flat as a post, like basically like as straight as a post, and it was Jujhar Khaira who got hit. Just an unfortunate play to say, but to see. But it's the price you pay when you keep your head down, unfortunately. Talking about one last thing here, Seth, and then I'll let you go. What is your biggest, what are you surprised about the most so far in the year in the NHL this season so far? Is it a certain player having the type of season he's having? Is it a certain team that's stepping up as well and, doing better than people expected at the start of the season? What's your biggest surprise so far?
I think it's going to be a team, and I think anybody will agree with me on this one, and it's how the Detroit Red Wings have been playing. Man, I'm not a big fan of their team because of how good they were in the past, but they have so many young guys and so many young players that are fun to watch, and it's just been so much fun to watch the Red Wings this year with all their young speed, Lucas Raymond, Maurice Sider, all these young kids, Philip Zadina, even Dylan Larkin and Tyler Bertuzzi, who's been playing unbelievably so far this year. It's just they've just been so much fun to watch, and it's been such a their rebuild has jumped so far. Like they could be, a year out from being a team that could possibly contend for a wild card, and they're in a wild card right now.
Yeah, and Nedeljkovic, getting him was so huge. Like Stevie Yzerman, Stevie Y, working his magic in that trade. I mean, like
I don't understand how he does. Yeah, I don't understand how he does it. How he gets some of this stuff done, and he's just so good. I don't understand why how good he is at his job.
he's the magic man, when it comes to GM. I think undisputedly he has to be the best GM in the NHL. I don't think there's no, like, if there were any doubts before, there's no question now in what he's built in Detroit, because like you said, Lucas Raymond, he's leading that team in points with 22. Dylan Larkin is almost a point per game player, and then Seider, like, he's going to be a heck of a defenseman when he.
I remember, that draft where Seider was drafted. I was like, this guy is going to be good. I don't care what people are saying. Like, Steve Yzerman thinks he's going to be a good player and drafts him higher than he was supposed to. This guy's going to be a good player. Just believe in. I can't help, like, Steve Yzerman. He makes me like the Red Wings just because of how smart his moves have been, and how, like, good he is at his job, but he doesn't. He's just a normal. Like, I don't know. I've always been a big fan of Steve Yzerman as a player, and, like, just as a GM, it's, like, even heightening how much respect I have for him.
Yeah, and you look at, like, Tyler Bertuzzi has shown, like, he's had some highlight reel goals this season. I'm a huge fan of Philip Zadina. Would love to see him, thrive, even though he doesn't have as many points as, like, he probably want for himself this year. But yeah, this is a team that's young, that's going to keep getting better. Do you know how much cap space they have?
No, but I'm pretty sure they still have a decent amount. So, like, next season they'll be able to probably drag some guy. And, like, Detroit's anybody would want to. Doesn't matter how, like, they're like, because I know recently Detroit's have trouble with selling tickets because of their like economic. I think the city's in some economic troubles right now or whatever, or I don't know, crazy money stuff, I think. But yeah, like, I think any NHL player would play for Steve Yzerman because they know, like, this guy can bring a team to the playoffs. He just needs a few years.
Oh, no doubt about it. And he built what Tampa Bay has now, right? Like,
that's not Julien Brisebois' team.
Yeah. He came in and he's getting the credit, of course, because obviously he's been the GM when they've won those Stanley Cups. But all credit's gone to Stevie Y. And, like, yeah, this team, like, they're so young and they're just going to continue to get better. They have all the right pieces in place and they're already in a playoff spot. At this point in the season, I'm pretty they're in a playoff spot, correct?
Yeah, they're in a wild card, but they do like other teams do have games in hand. So
yeah,
and by the end of the year, Detroit probably, like, they won't be in a playoff spot. They might be, like, hovering around, like, just under the wild card, but I think, like, they're close. And I think next year they could contend for a wild card. I think next year they could probably make the playoffs, but with teams like Boston and falling under the rug now a little bit. But they've been insane so far this year and just completely blowing everybody's expectations of them, I think.
Yeah, and just like I said, there's a young team that's only going to get better and continue to build. I'm going to go with one of my biggest surprises, and it's not a team, it's a player. Nazem Kadri.
Oh, yeah.
Top 4 in points this season. Now let's think about how crazy this is. So 31 points in 21 games. He's top 5 in assists in the league right now with 21 assists. And the crazy thing about this 31 points in 21 games is that Kadri has never finished a season over point per game in his life. And there's a lot of seasons to go. But his best season for points was in 2016-17 with the Leafs, where he had 61 points in 82 games. Now, I'm not a mathematician or anything, but if I calculated it correctly, 31 divided by 21, and then you times that by 82 games if he plays a full season, he's on pace for 121 points right now. Now, I don't think he's going to keep that up and reach that many points, but just to see him doing this season and stepping up for when Nathan McKinnon hasn't been in the lineup and doing it with guys that, aren't guys like Rantanen or Landeskog, Valeri Nichushkin and Andrei Burakovsky has been huge too. He's been averaging the most ice time of his career so far by 11 seconds. His previous best was 18 minutes and 16 seconds in 2015-16. But just to see Kadri, he's always been that player that has been a good depth piece to a team. He's always been that player that can get under the team's skin. He plays with a bit of an edge that comes back to bite him, but he's been able to put up offense in his career. But for him to be able to be doing this season, having a career season so far, has just been so impressive.
Yeah, the guy is so talented, and it kind of hurts to say that because, man, he can be a total pest sometimes, and just one of the most. He's like kind of almost Brad Marchand, Brendan Gallagher level for me when it comes to, kind of having a lot of anger towards when you're watching him play against your team, and it sucks because he's with the Avalanche, so he's in the Jets division, and he's dominating this season. So just hope he doesn't dominate when they play against the Jets. But yeah, he's been unreal, and he's going to be looking for a big payday if he keeps this up.
Yeah, a good two-way player as well, I feel like, Seth. And, I'm not going to lie to you. I think like he has been one of the dirtiest players in the league at times, like just what he's done in the playoffs and stuff, especially at that time of the year, getting suspended. It costed them last season a bit, like him going out that, in the playoffs, like with the depth situation there. But, Kadri, definitely my biggest surprise of the season so far in terms of a player having a huge year.
Yeah, I still don't understand like what goes through his mind when he's in the playoffs. These games are so intense, and he decides to headhunt a guy and leave his feet on purpose. And like, I just don't understand why he does what he does, because his team needs him. He's a great player, and he just does this stuff, and it's like, oh, why?
Yeah. It's just kind of part of his nature, it seems like, because it's been a consistent trend throughout his career. But we're going to leave it at that, Seth. This was a long one. I think you've been on here for about 40 minutes plus. It's been great having you on the show, man. Getting to talk hockey with you, talking about the Jets and, suspensions and some other things as well. And, hey, we'll do it again next week if you want. Yeah,
I'd love to. This has been awesome. Thanks for having me on again, man.
Yeah, of course, man. You take care. Have a good one. I'll see you tomorrow because we got your segment, Seth's Inside Scoop, coming up on my other show, Graeme, Coffee with Graeme, tomorrow. So that should be a lot of fun. And Seth Rach joining Graeme's opinion here. And, let us know in the comments if you do watch this, if you want us to cut it down, of course. This is a long one. I don't want you guys to be searching through where we talked about, which, the Jets and, which suspensions we talked about as well, and like our biggest surprises. So for Graeme's opinion from now on, I'm going to consistently, I know I said this before, but I'm going to consistently put in timestamps for you guys to just click on where you want to watch in the segment. Coming up after this next commercial break, this final commercial break, I'm going to be talking about the 108th Grey Cup and giving my prediction on who will win that game. And then also a rant on why bullying athletes on social media is just awful, just the worst thing. So you're watching Rise and Shine Manitoba show on ASTV Productions. Stick around for more after this commercial break.
Earthsaver. We at Smiley Worms would like to introduce you to our original vermicompost idea. If you're here looking at this, you probably know vermicompost is the best natural soil amendment man or nature has created. The big idea was the Earthsaver. Everything in this bag was kept out of landfills and pre-composted and fed to our worms. Canadians send an average of 720 kilograms per person of organic waste to the landfill each year. We found this alarming. Many Canadians realize it's a problem, but do not have a solution. Most people do not compost. You can be a part of the solution. Buy a bag of Earthsaver to feed your healthy soil. We can only guarantee this. We kept it out of the landfill, your worms ate it, and your plants will love it. These will be great for your home, garden project, or even a fundraiser. Still not convinced? Send us an email. We'll send you a free sample. You'll love it. This is work and product we're most proud of. One last thing. We're located in Manitoba. If we're too far from you, contact us anyway. We may know someone. Worm farmers are awesome breed.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine Manitoba. Of course, Seth Rach joined the show in a very long talk about the NHL. We talked about the Winnipeg Jets, their last 3 games. Talked about the suspensions handed out to Pionk and Neal for the Jets and Jason Spezza for the Maple Leafs, as well as talking about how many games Ian Cole should get, as well as talking about the Jacob Trouba hit and what we're surprised the most about this season in the NHL. So this is the second part of Graeme's opinion. This is what we're going to be doing every week. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. We'll have Seth on to talk NHL with me. Maybe some other guests too to talk NHL. Maybe have a panel at one point. Maybe get some people to talk some football as well. But I'm going to be talking solo on this one. Talking about the CFL, the 108th Grey Cup coming up on Sunday. It's a rematch of the 2019 Grey Cup between the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And looking at the predictions I made last week of how the games would go, just looking at it here, I said that it would be a 29-13 win for the Bombers. I wasn't close on that one, to be honest. 21-17. The Bombers won last week against Saskatchewan. And just looking at it for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, let me just find the prediction here. I said they'd win 25-16. I was pretty close on that one, guys. As they won 27-19 over the Argonauts to punch their ticket to the Grey Cup. Of course, the game is going to be in Hamilton. It's going to be interesting to see what part that is going to play, just their home field advantage. But I know that the Bomber faithful, the Bomber fans are going to be out in full force to support their team and look for them to potentially end off a historic season with a Grey Cup win, looking to go back to back. But let's get into the keys to the game. I think for the Bombers, it's going to be getting Andrew Harris going. This guy is one of the greatest backs in the game. Him being back healthy is so huge. He rushed for 23 times in that game against the Riders last weekend. 136 yards and a TD against the Riders. Last time the Bombers and Hamilton played as well, Harris wasn't playing, but Brady Oliveira in the only matchup against the Hamilton Tiger Cats that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers had this season had 22 carries for 126 yards. So it's definitely been proven that the Bombers can run the ball against this Hamilton team. But Hamilton is a team that's held teams in these 2 playoff games that they've had this season to under 50 yards in total, against the Alouettes and the Argonauts, shutting down the leading rusher in the league this year in terms of stats and standbacks. So Bombers got to find a way to get Andrew Harris going, because that's going to be huge for them to get the run going. It's just going to be able to allow them to open up the pass. Of course, as always, you run the ball well, you're going to be open. You're going to be able to open up the pass. That could go the same way for if you're passing the ball, you can open up the run as well. But ball security is going to be a huge thing, and that is something the Bombers did not do last weekend in that game against the Riders in that Western final. Turning the ball over 6 times won't win you many football games, and I feel like it was an anomaly, but the defense for the Bombers was just so stellar in that game and bailing them out when they made those mistakes, most of them in the first half. And to be fair, the Riders they forced a fumble on that second turnover nicely. They stripped the ball away from Rashid Bailey, and the first interception of the game from Collaros was not his fault. Just a bobbled pass by Dembski that ended up going in the hands of the Riders, and they ended up getting the first turnover of the game for themselves. But, turning the ball over less is going to make it easier on your defense, and probable MOP this season, Zach Collaros needs to be on his game. He needs to be more, he needs to be better at not turning the football out there. I know it sounds simple, but that's what it is. And he's done it very well this season, only 8 picks thrown on the year. So it was a bit of an uncharacteristic game for Zach Collaros last game, underthrowing his receiver on one of the plays, and then also, throwing it into no man's land on that third pick he had. But score TDs. Hamilton has only given up 1 TD in 2 playoff games that they've played. You need to be able to put the pressure on this Hamilton offense, because this Hamilton offense has had trouble getting going. Starting out of the gate, they've relied on their defense to, keep them in these games, in these playoffs so far, going down, 12-0 early last week, not scoring a point in the entire first half. But the defense needs to get constant pressure all game. You're going against a guy like Dane Evans, who came in and was fantastic in relief for the Tiger Cats last weekend in that East final. They had 5 sacks last week on Fajardo, only 1 sack on Mazzoli in the only matchup that the Bombers played against them this season, which was the first game of the year. And Evans, of course, perfect completion percentage, going 16 for 16. And you need to be able to stop the run as well. You need to be able to stop Don Jackson, who was able to get 95 yards on 16 carries last week. And in that Sunday win to punch their ticket to the Grey Cup. But for the Tiger Cats, your offense needs to be able to show up, especially against this Bombers team. This team has had big quarters at times in this playoffs, but it's kind of been that special teams and that defense that has helped them out a bit too. You need to be able to show up against this Bombers offense. Dane Evans, can you show up again against this historically good Bombers offense? Can Brandon Banks finally go off and have his big game of the season? Can Ackland do the same things that he was doing against Toronto last week, where he had over 100 yards in that game against the Argonauts? Can Don Jackson have success on the ground? That's that's to be decided. It's going to be seen in this Sunday game. That's going to be huge for the Tiger Cats. But you need to score TDs as well. 9 points, like the last time that these two teams played, isn't going to cut it. You also need to finish your drives against this Bombers team, something that Saskatchewan was not doing last weekend. And you need to find ways to get Collaros. They didn't really, I think they were having some success in that first week, but Collaros last week didn't really get sacked much. You need to find ways to get the advantage on this O-line. You need to, come up with schemes and blitzes to get creative against this very stellar Bombers O-line. But, the final verdict, who I think will win the 108th Grey Cup. And this is just objective, looking at the stats, looking at how these two teams have played this season in this playoffs. Two great defenses going at it. Could be a pretty defensive game, but I think that the Bombers have the advantage at the most important position at QB. As good as Dane Evans looked last week against the Toronto Argonauts, he's going against a different animal in the Winnipeg Blue Bombers defense, who has been so dominant against every team that they played this season. I believe that the Bombers got the wake-up call that they needed last weekend against Saskatchewan. They proved that they were able to overcome adversity in that game. I think that this game will be a blowout win for the Bombers, and they'll go back-to-back to win back-to-back Grey Cup championships. I'm going 28-9 Winnipeg Blue Bombers final to win the 108th Grey Cup and win back-to-back championships. Finishing off with the rant now, folks, before I sign off on today's edition of the show. Now, many fans were very upset with Neal Pionk in that game against Toronto. Many Toronto fans were, and many Winnipeg fans are upset with Jason Spezza. But I heard that Pionk needed to limit his comments on his Instagram, just because of the threats I think he was getting. I'm not too sure, but just limiting the comments, never a good sign. And that comes down to cyberbullying. Like Maxime Comtois, Team Canada's captain back in the 2018 World Juniors, the 2019 World Juniors, when he missed that penalty shot in overtime for Canada, and then they ended up losing Finland. I'm pretty sure he deleted Instagram altogether for a while. And it's just, those are just some examples. Like, it's just a game at the end of the day. What happens on the ice, no matter what happens, like people threatening Scheifele last season and his family was awful as well. I know I'm just bringing up the Jets, but in this situation, I feel like it's relevant because there has been a lot of stuff going on with the Winnipeg Jets in terms of players getting suspended, like Mark Scheifele last year in the playoffs, Neal Pionk, and they're getting threatened by teams' fan bases, just these crazy fans that don't know that it's just a game. It's a sport at the end of the day, and that's what people got to understand. You know, going back to the Maxime Comtois situation, like, you were bullying a kid, even though he wore the C for Canada. He was also playing injured throughout that tournament, and like, it wasn't the best decision to put him out in the shootout back then because he was injured. But you know, playing injured in that tournament, but to bully a kid and take it that far off the ice was just awful. Looking at what's been happening with Pionk having to limit his comments, looking at Scheifele, you know, not only getting threatened, but his family getting threatened last season by these crazy fans. When will people understand that, you know, whether it's hockey, whether it's football, it could be basketball, whatever, if you're getting threatened because of what happened out there, out on the ice, out on the court, out on the field, you know, why does this have to happen? Why do we have to keep it so far? Why can't you just leave it alone? And, you know, you can talk about the suspension, you know, but given threats and, you know, threatening people's families, threatening these athletes' families, you got to remember that they're people too, even though they're getting paid millions of dollars to play a game that many people dream of playing. You know, threatening athletes because of what happened out on the ice, unless they killed someone, but even then, giving them death threats, you know, bullying them to the point where Pionk had to limit his comments on Instagram is just something that is stupid. It's unforgivable. I think it's just, it's a low life move to make. And I can't believe it that, you know, people take it that far when it is just a sport at the end of the day. It really is not that serious. And, you know, I just can't stand it. Those are the type of people that, you know, probably still at like 30, 40 years old are still going to be living in mom's basement, sitting on their butt, not really, you know, making a name for themselves. You know, you're behind your keyboard, behind your phone or your laptop, your computer, whatever it is, iPad, whatever it may be, being a keyboard warrior and feeling like a tough guy because you're threatening an athlete because of something that happened on the ice. Get a grip on reality and realize that you're not bigger than anyone else. You know, I bet that if you saw a guy like Neal Pionk in real life, or a guy like Mark Scheifele in real life, or even Maxime Comtois, you wouldn't be carrying the same energy. So you know, just the scummiest thing, one of the most awful things, in my opinion, is threatening a pro athlete and you know, cyberbullying him because of something that happened on the ice. Just like I said, leave it in the game. You know, you can criticize them all you want while you're watching the game. You can have fair criticism, but the threats, like, come on, that's just unbelievable. Just a low life move right there. But yeah, that's going to do it for Graeme's opinion, folks. It was a long one, almost an hour long here today. Had a lot to talk about. So if you guys enjoyed today's edition of Graeme's Opinion, be sure to leave a like, leave a comment down below, share this with people as well, and share the show in general if you enjoyed today's edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba. That's going to do it for this edition of Manitoba Show. I realized that I did not change the background for that rant. We'll switch back over to the ASTV background. But yeah, I've been your host of Rise and Shine Manitoba, Graeme Forsyth. I want to thank the guests for coming on today's show who did, and Harry Siemens on the Farm Report, Adam Wedlake, Executive Director of Basketball Manitoba, and Gordie Tumilson, Goalie Coach and Marketing Director of Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy. I also want to thank the sponsors in today's episode for sponsoring Rise and Shine in Evolve Green and AETI. And I also want to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in on this Wednesday morning, which is now Wednesday afternoon, which it is afternoon at this point. After 12 o'clock. It's 12:04 currently. But yeah, Manitoba Show will return next week on Wednesday at 10 a.m. Central Time. You guys can catch that episode on our Facebook at ASTV Productions, on our website at astvproductions.com, or on our Twitter at Amateur Sports TV. Stay tuned on our social medias on social media pages on Facebook and Twitter, as well as on our Instagram at ASTV Productions, to check in on what the guest list will be looking like for next Wednesday's edition of the show. And for you, hockey fans out there, you guys who or girls who enjoy hearing people talk about prospects, well, I got a treat for you guys tonight. On the Prospect Show this week, it's a show that I've interviewed some of the best hockey prospects throughout North America. I usually do a segment every Monday night on the show. As of late, in the last 2 episodes, called Player Analysis, where I look at some tape, look at some film from a guest, a player that I had on the show, and I break it down. And was unable to do it on Friday, but no, on Monday. But this past Monday, 2 days ago, but I made a promise to every one of my viewers on that show that I was going to be releasing that segment tonight, separately from the show, so people can still watch it. It's going to be with Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy U15 assistant captain, number 2 defenseman, number 2 Carson Carrolls, and number 3 assistant captain defenseman of that team as well, and Gage Sutherland, as they both joined the show. I'm going to be breaking down game footage from 2 games from their season that we've seen here on ASTV Productions. That will be coming out tonight at 9 p.m. Yeah, well, no, we'll go for 9:30. So 9:30 p.m. tonight, you guys can watch Player Analysis all over ASTV Productions on our Facebook, on our website at astvproductions.com, as well as on our Twitter at Amateur Sports TV. But yeah, until then, folks, until tonight, if you do tune into that, I'll see you guys then. But until next week on Manitoba Show, Rise and Shine Manitoba, I'll see you then, folks. I've been your host, Graeme Forsyth, signing off now. Until next Wednesday, have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday today. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend as well. Stay safe out. Stay safe out there. Stay warm as well, as it is getting mighty cold here, especially in Manitoba. Like I always do say. So if you can, you must bundle up, because it is cold. Don't want to get hypothermia out there, guys. Don't want to end up going to the hospital because you didn't bundle up. So, yeah. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. Have a great rest of your week. Have a great weekend as well. Stay safe and bundled up out there. And until next Wednesday, folks, I'll see you then. Peace out, everybody.